I'm going to hit both of you guys up with this question because somebody in the live chat mentioned silent commits. And this has been a term that's been directed toward Florida State football with quite a bit of criticism, unlike any other program that I'm seeing across the country, about there being too many silent commits. Are they real? What does it mean?
Logan, it was on you, buddy. It was all you.
Oh, me? You don't want to give a take on it?
I think for legal purposes, I'll stay out of this as a
legal's legal. Before we get Jason somehow arrested, Mark, I'll give my take on it. I do think definitely for the reason it's in Florida State's hands so much, why it's talked about a lot, why, we've heard things on our end, even recruits that are committed are saying Florida State, like Nico Markey all told it on our podcast, saying that there's some silent commits that will shock the world. I think there's still some, I know there are some, but they're still waiting until they can get on campus. And I think that's going to play a big role for a lot of players, even still committed to Florida State. Sadly, it's just a part of the game where once you get opening up next month where they can actually come and visit, a lot of schools are going to take different advantages or big advantages of this. It's going to change for FSU. It's going to change for Florida, Miami. It's going to change for every one of the schools in the state and also across the country. I think that like I said, there are a few there, but I think they're also kind of still waiting and playing the game of what is Florida State going to look like against Notre Dame to start off the season. Are we going to see any kind of progress to where it's actually a game going into the second half, or am I just seeing a product where Mike Norvell is telling me this, Dillingham's telling me we're scoring, Fuller's telling me we're getting takeaways, we're going to stop and hold the Notre Dame offense? Like, I think it's all kind of, they're just waiting on that. If Florida State performs well, this game's going into the fourth quarter, blah, blah, blah. That, I think a lot of these guys are going to come out and say, boom, that's it. I've secretly been in the group chat with these guys. I'm committed. I think that's going to be the big playing factor here. And it makes sense. Florida State has been doo-doo the last couple of years, and it makes sense for players to want to do this. There's not a lot of people like Travis Hunter. There's not a lot of players like that where this kid, I think if they went the same record as last year, he would still show up to Florida State ready to go and garnering gold. But some of these guys that are high profile, which you like to be in this space and having these guys, there's some big time targets that don't really want to announce yet until they've at least made it onto campus. They're able to see Mike Norvell in person and shake hands and let their parents come, which is also very huge in building relationships. I think that's why. And then we'll get to see a lot of that next month. There is a big, huge visitor list that is expected for the Noles and recruiting next month.
And Logan said exactly. I'll speak a little bit and be a little bit political with this. Logan is correct, and it's all going to come down. We've talked about this before. How Florida State plays. I think all the experts are already saying Florida State starting off the year is about let's call it a 10-point underdog to Notre Dame. I think if Florida State loses to Notre Dame by 10 points, but like Logan said, looks good in the process, you're going to get some guys who are going to pay attention to Florida State. But it's not just that. It's how you build after that. It's looking good against Jacksonville State. It's looking good against Wake Forest. It's looking good against Louisville. Looking good against Syracuse. If we can go into that Clemson game being 5-2, let's just say we're the best case scenario 5-2, losses to North Carolina and Notre Dame. I think number one, we would probably take that. Number two, I think you'd have a lot of people saying, okay, Florida State is on the upward climb. So it's not just the Notre Dame game. It's after the Notre Dame game. It's if we do lose to Notre Dame, what happens next? How does Florida State look against Jacksonville State? How does Florida State look when they start that ACC play? So, I mean, Logan mentions guys. I've talked to Marvin Jones Jr. a couple times. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is one of those guys who I think right now is in a strong lean towards Florida State, but he's one of those guys who's holding out hope, or should be holding out for the fact of what happens if Florida State craps the bed. Do I go to Miami? Do I go to Alabama and Oklahoma, something like that? I feel like that's where we're at right now. So it's not just that Notre Dame game. It's that first 7-game stretch of the season to see if Florida State has really turned this around.
For a lot of recruits, I think there's an exciting element to a situation like this, where you're not the king of the hill, you're not Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, but you're also not dead in the water and nothing's going on here, but you're on the verge. Like if you can show that you're on the verge of something big, you're building, and then they know that they can be part of being that class or being that wave of players that's going to make a difference, not just be one of the cogs in the machine at Alabama or Ohio State or wherever, but they could be part of something special, part of that's going to be part of the turnaround at Florida State.
Well, and you've talked about this before, Mark. You've hit the nail on the head with this one. Yeah, that one was free just for you there on that one. It comes down to, people seem to forget Florida State is 7 years removed from a national championship. Florida State won a national championship 7 years ago. It's not like Miami, who hasn't won one in nearly 2 decades, or Florida, who hasn't won since the 2008 season. It's more, you've talked about this, Mark, about how Florida State went from up here to down here just like that and just fell off so quickly. But it's not like they are as bad as a Georgia Tech was, as bad as an FIU was. It's not like they're one of those bad teams. They still have talent. Everyone's expecting Florida State to do better this season because we are still a talented team. So I think the difference is these recruits want to see that talent perform. They don't mind us so much losing to a Notre Dame, losing to a Miami, losing to a North Carolina. It's when you lose to the Louisvilles. It's when you lose to the Pitts, when you lose to the Georgia Techs. That's the first step. Win the games you're supposed to win, and then from there, if you get another upset win over North Carolina, if you happen to beat Notre Dame in the opener, everything after that is bonus. You know what
I've got two.
You know what else? I'm sorry.
I
have to, Mark. I'm sorry. I apologize. I do sincerely apologize. Because there is something bonus. It's a date night in Tallahassee. Logan still hasn't told us where he's going.
Nope. You want to know? I probably shouldn't tell that on live. I'm not telling it on live. I'll tell it next week. I'll tell it next week.
I was going to tell you I was going to buy a nice sheet dessert for you. I was going to call, place the order now, have a nice dessert.
No, you don't need to do that.
And then you can pay me back with the best why you should hit the like button I've ever heard.
And I need to get both of y'all these. I'm going to send them out this weekend. I'm going to write it down.
Okay, you're a liar. Go ahead.
They need to hit that like button because this is a new channel. That is the biggest thing here. It's fairly new channel. It's fairly new, but this is our first time going live on here. We're already at 60 viewers. We're at 27 likes. If you guys would definitely help out and smacking that like button, we would definitely appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Definitely. We've been doing this for 107 weeks. It's been nonstop FSU coverage. Thanks to Mark. He grinds his tail off trying to get as much coverage around college football, but definitely on the Florida State side of things. So make sure you guys hit that like button. It helps out more. You don't even have to spend $1 or anything. Just hitting that like button does a lot. It gives us to more FSU fans, and we can interact with you guys. And then so whenever we get close to the season, we'll have 200, 300 people on here live, and we'll be able to answer questions and have some fun with you all. So definitely appreciate y'all.